You're listening to Roundtable. This is our special series, Railway Tripping Tibetan Style. And in case you're wondering, He Yang is taking the time to recover from high-altitude sickness and a severe cold. We did go to Shikaze just a couple of days ago, and like we said, is altitude 4,000 meters plus. So everybody was suffering seriously from high-altitude sickness, and He Yang obviously is more so than the others. But we look forward to her recovery and her, rejoining our discussion. But in the meantime, we are currently back to Lhasa, and we are at a Dungkar Language School. And this is a classroom, obviously, and you guys have all been here. Tell us about your first impression of this school. Oh, yes, by the way, we are joined by Fei Fei and Huang Shan on the show today.
Hello. Yeah, so the Dungkar Language School was located in Lhasa, downtown Lhasa, obviously. And in this building, they have different classes on Tibetan, on the Mandarin, and on English as well. So the school was founded in 1997, so that was 24
years. Because when I walked into the school, I saw the red banner hanging on the front gate, and in celebration of the 24th anniversary of the founding of the school.
Yeah. Here I thought you were very good at math.
So the school started with offering 3 classes on languages, but now it has expanded to other classes, including the computer skills we just saw, and as well as maths. So the school is very job-oriented. Like the students,
vocational school.
Yeah, vocational school. The students coming here are looking for skills that will help them to find a better job. And the headmaster of the school is called the Tenzin Dongdro. Tenzin Dongdro. Sorry, my Tibetan is not perfect.
You're at a school, you can learn Tibetan language soon.
We actually heard by a Tibetan class just a few moments ago, and was...
Yeah, I was bedazzled by the students' passion in learning a new language. And the first classroom we walked into was a Mandarin class. I could see the students, they were following the instructions of their teacher.
They were chanting.
They were chanting and reciting and learned this really trendy slangs and words. I was amazed by their how trendy the words are, because they are not just based on the textbook. It's more it's more communication oriented, which means after you learn these phrases and sentences, you can actually talk and communicate with a person who's speaking in this language. And the second classroom we walked into was an English class. Wow, I think they are very, very passionate about learning a foreign language. It's different from learning Tibetan language or the Mandarin, and they were following the teachers, reciting the paragraphs. Also, they're trying to do some conversations with each other. Well, another interesting thing is about the age range of the class, of the students in the class. Some of the students, they are just 8 years old, or at elementary school age. Some of them are teenagers, some of them are probably fresh graduates from the universities. And the third classroom we visited was a classroom that teaching the Tibetan language. I was a little bit surprised why they need to learn Tibetan language. And if you pay attention to the age of the students inside the classroom, they are relatively older. And most of them are ladies or females.
30-something, 40-something ladies.
Probably they have no problem in the spoken Tibetan, but they need to read and write. That's the reason why they're taking this class, and to learn the handwriting and the characters of the Tibetan language.
So for them, it's more like a literacy class.
So they can read the signs, read the papers in their daily life.
What are some other interesting subjects?
So I've talked to some of the staff in the school. They currently have 500 students.
Wow.
But because of the diversity of the classes they offer, so they have classes as short as 1 month for people who are looking for advanced skills. And they also have students who've been here for 2, 3, 5 years, because a lot of the students are coming from mountains or rural areas in Tibet, and they're coming here with basically zero foundation of a certain language, and they started, for example, studying Chinese for a few months, and then they realized, oh, I'm also interested in the English language, and then they started to take English classes as well. So they can looking for basic classes here, and as well as more
advanced lessons. And
yes,
suffice to say, the passion for language learning is very strong here. Even as we stepped into the vicinity of this school, we heard people chanting in various languages: Chinese, Mandarin, and English, and Tibetan language. So that passion is something that you only see on TV when they depict younger children learning at Sishu, which is an older version of private schools in ancient China. And so speaking of that passion, we have somebody that's very passionate about learning language. We have a student named Dawa who's spent years learning language here. Very nice to have you here. And could you just give us a little bit of brief introduction of yourself?
Yes, of course, sure. I'm from Shikoza. I'm truly honored to be here, and I'm truly honored to be interviewed by you. So I would like to spend this wonderful time, and I feel so blessed by taking this good opportunity to say something here and let you know about me.
It is our opportunity to really speak to somebody that's very passionate about language learning, about Tibetan culture. So very nice to have you here, and we'll make sure you enjoy this session. And what is it that you do here?
I'm a student, and I'm learning English and Chinese.
Just how old are you, if you don't mind me asking?
Is it polite to ask that question?
For me, 23 years.
23, and how long have you been studying here?
For me, I have been learning English and Chinese in this Dungkar Language School for 5 years.
For 5 years? Wow, and you must be a very advanced student here. And exactly what are the curriculums that you've pursued?
Just like Chinese and English.
Chinese and English.
Do you have like a separate grammar class?
Spoken English class.
Spoken English class.
There's got to be many language schools out there. And why did you choose to come to Dungkar?
Dungkar, because for me, I've been learning English and Chinese in this school for 5 years, and in this first 5 years, I learned not only knowledge, but I also learned a lot from my respectful teachers, such as how to lead a life, how to make progress, as well as how to communicate with friends. Most importantly, I learned how to be a good and useful person for our society. So I won't forget my mother's school that gave me knowledge and ability.
That's amazing.
5 years ago, I came here in the hope of studying. Yeah, 5 years have been passed in a blink of an eye. So I think the most important thing for me at this time is to say thanks.
To say thanks?
Yeah, thanks to my teachers, and heartfelt thanks for Dungkar Language School.
And are you ready to move on as you say thank you, or you have other things in mind? You have other goals in mind?
Yes, of course, because they always teach us what is right and wrong, good and bad. So I have always been so grateful to my teachers and the educational system for making me the person that I am today. So I think teachers in the ordinary teaching post to pay will not be in vain. That's what I think.
That's amazing. I think this is more than a school that you can learn knowledge or language, but it is more like a community that you can share your life views or philosophies with your peers and your teachers. You can also learn a lot of things besides of the textbook from the people around you. This is one community you can build up with the beliefs in life, and to share probably the challenges and obstacles you face in life, and trying to conquer or overcome that obstacles together. And so what you want to achieve in learning languages in the school after 5 years, what's your goal for the next stage of your life?
For me, I just want to get more knowledge.
More knowledge.
I think knowledge is the most powerful among all. And also, I think knowledge can change your fate.
That's true.
And because how much knowledge a man has is how much power he has. His knowledge equals to his abilities.
And what do you plan to do with that power that you have so far accumulated?
Yeah, because I want to be an English teacher.
In this school or find another school?
I'd like to be in this school.
That's great.
Because I can teach English and I can learn English at the same time. And also, what I have learned can be shared with other people. That's what I want.
Right, you're 23, you came here 5 years ago. That makes you 18 when you joined this school. And so, did you just finish secondary school or high school when you joined this? Or so, what did you do prior to coming to this school to study Chinese and English? What did you do?
Just to learn some language.
Before
So
coming
after
here?
you graduated from high school, then you moved to this language school.
Yes, of course. Because when I went to primary school, I had been sick for a long time. Then I dropped out of my school.
I see. So this is a vocational school that is open to everybody who has a will to learn, and you found your sweet spot here, obviously. And you've been here for 5 years, and I think I asked that question before, what are the lessons on your curriculum? There must be a favorite for you. What is your favorite subject, spending 5 years here?
Oh yes, for me my favorite subject is of course English.
English.
Because I'm interested in learning English and I'm crazy about learning English.
That's great.
As an English major, I was passionate about learning the language as well. And I think my passion derived from the fact that I was able to beat other classmates.
Very competitive.
What is the core of your passion? You said earlier that knowledge is power, but there are many types of knowledge. Medicine, science, math, there are all kinds of knowledge. Why do you choose English learning as your passion?
For me, English is a new language for us. If we master a new language, the new language can give us more opportunities.
Opportunities as in?
Communicate
What kind of
with people from...
Opportunities to finding a good job.
Find a good job. Okay, like being an English teacher, or like other students who are attending the English lessons here, they hope to get a job, for instance, as a tourist guide or something, because tourism is big in this region. All right.
And also, I think with a good command of English, you can achieve more than those who don't have it. And also, speaking a good English means that you have more options.
More options.
So you speak very good English. What's your secret in learning the language?
For me, it's like when I learn English, just first, I think you must be a good listener. Because when your English teacher or native English speaker is talking to you, you must listen to them carefully. And second, every day we choose some interesting and meaningful sentences, then read them ourselves.
Or recite them. Right.
And also read them from TikTok or any other.
Right. TikTok.
TikTok.
Yeah, TikTok.
You're definitely a Gen Zer.
Yeah. And you think learning English gives you power and options. And what about other students who come here to study? Do you think there's a point? Because I think you have a passion in learning language. That's all the reason why you're studying. But what about other students who are learning the language? Do you think there's a reason, there's a point in them learning the language, other than perhaps they can get a good job as a tour guide or something else? Is it a necessity for people of Tibet to master the language of English?
I think most of the Tibetan students, they are learning Tibetan and Chinese. But for me, I would like to learn English.
So
So it's just based on different interests.
and also provides a sort of a leverage for you. You have an additional skill to the Tibetan and Chinese languages.
And this is your advantage in
Yeah.
finding a job in the near future. Brings you more job opportunities.
Yes.
But you know, our show will be aired in some foreign countries. And as a local person, how would you like to introduce your hometown or the Tibet, the autonomous region, to our foreign audience? So what's the thing that you feel most proud of your hometown, of your region, that you want to show the glory and the beauty of your hometown to the people outside of this country?
Let me rephrase it. You said knowledge is power. And if you watch some Marvel movies, you know there's a saying, with greater power comes greater responsibilities.
Yeah.
You may be learning English because of your pure interest, because you may get more options, but now that you have the power, you're obligated to use the power to greater use. And language, English language obviously is a tool, is a means of communication with the outside world, with people who also speak the same language. And now that you have that power, you have that ability, and do you have anything to say to communicate with people who also speak the same language? You coming from this particular region of China.
Of course, my hometown.
Your hometown.
Proudly say, where is
Okay.
your hometown?
The place with high altitude that took a heavy toll on our host, He Yang.
Yeah.
And yeah, is there anything you'd like to introduce about your hometown?
My hometown's people.
Beautiful.
They are very friendly.
They're friendly.
Yeah, almost nobody they are very friendly.
And that's it?
What are what are the must-go sites, like tourist attractions in your hometown?
If I haven't been to Shikaze and I want to go, is there any place that you would strongly recommend that I should go?
Yeah.
Maybe.
Tashilampo?
Yeah.
Because
that's
I heard there's a saying that if a person hasn't seen the real side of a Chikasa, if he or she hasn't visited Tashilampo.
That's
Is it
kind of
true?
sad.
Is it true? I need to verify this information with the local.
If you put it that way, it's kind of sad because we have been so busy working while we were in Shikaze. I think some of us haven't had that chance to go to the Tashilampo monastery.
Yeah, we don't really have a good view of the city.
Yeah.
But then again, that gives us another reason to come back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you think English is difficult to learn?
For me, it's like everybody who learns a new language has trouble at first. But I think you'll never sit down, you'll never give up. Because with practice and hard work, we can learn it well. As the saying goes, nothing in the world is difficult if you work hard.
All right.
So if you don't work hard, no one can give you the result what you want.
Now, before we start recording the show, Dawa gave us a pretty good idea of how hard he's been working learning the language. And could you describe your daily routine? What do you do beginning from the morning and until the evening? What is it that you do studying the language and working here?
Yeah, from Monday to Friday, I have class, so just to go to school. But only weekends. On weekends, when I have spare time, I just like to go to the library to read some books.
What kind of books do you read?
For me, it was like I
What's
like
your favorite?
reading about the lives of great people.
Great people.
For example.
For example,
They're very
Keller.
persistent.
Helen Keller.
Yeah. I think reading is an activity that people enjoy a lot in their free time. And also I think book is the most powerful weapon which you can use to change the world. So therefore I like reading about the lives of great people.
Right.
Because this always gives me a lot of ideas on how to make my own life better.
What's a lesson you learned from Helen Keller and keep
And
marching
no matter
on?
how bad situation we get, we must keep moving forward. And also we must work hard when we are young. Which is why I think hard work may not always result in success, but it will never result in regret.
All right.
Yeah.
It's very deep.
That's very strong.
It reminds me of a banner downstairs that
What is it?
if you didn't start walking today, you will have to run in the future.
You will have to run tomorrow to
Yeah.
make up for it.
Yes.
Yeah.
yes.
Well, that's very
Yeah,
motivational.
it's very important to never lose the passion for learning, and also no matter how harsh reality is or what kind of difficult situation you are in, you should always believe that there's a light at the end of the tunnel. You will make it through. You will make something big as long as you just being super dedicated to the vision you are seeing, and one day you will materialize your goal in your life.
And one more question: have you guys noticed that his pronunciation is great actually?
Yes.
it is.
Sometimes speaking a bit fast, but all the words they are almost every one of them correct.
Yes.
And I couldn't help but think about my years in secondary school and in high school, and in the first few years in college studying English as a major. I had to overcome a lot of challenges.
Yeah.
Initially, I mean, my fellow classmates and my teacher had very much difficulty in understanding what I was talking about.
Because of the
I ha-
pronunciation?
Yeah, I'm from Jiangxi province. I mean, our teaching, our English language education was mostly focused on sitting exams, getting bigger scores,
Yeah.
better scores,
Yeah.
not necessarily on talking. And I come here and see Dawa being quite fluent and being quite confident in presenting his views, and I couldn't help but envy him. But also I think about the difficulties and the challenges
Yeah.
he has to overcome. He mentioned earlier that he focused on reading about great people, but reading is entirely different and separate from that pronunciation practice. I mean, you have to practice the muscles in order to get the words correct.
Yeah.
And I wonder what he has done to be where he is in terms of pronunciation, in terms of getting ideas across.
Yeah, I can totally relate to that because
Yeah.
I was from English major as well. During my freshman year in college, the first lesson we took are definitely about pronunciation, about each phonetics and how to pronounce them right. I remember we struggle with the sound the.
Yeah.
It was because it doesn't exist in the Chinese language.
No.
I'm not
Yeah.
sure if it exists in the Tibetan language.
When you pronounce it, the,
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
thank
The.
you.
Thank you.
or this. Do you struggle with the sound when you first studying the language
What's the sound that you have to struggle with pronouncing?
in English?
Because for
Yeah.
me, I struggle with the word startle.
Subtle.
The L sound at the end of each word.
Oh, yeah, that
You-
was a tricky one.
I say for me it's V, like a V.
Oh,
Because you need
Victory.
base, victory, and because you need to use your teeth to kind of touch your lip a little bit when you pronounce that word. But sometimes for people from the north, when we are saying some Chinese words, we are very lazy. We don't have that like the strength or that tension around that part of the muscle. So V is the pronunciation that I'm struggling with. I improve a lot, but it takes quite a lot of time to do so. So what about you?
How is it that you get to pronounce so well the English language?
Because for me, pronunciation, I would like to say when you want to, if you want to get well pronunciation,
More accurate?
yeah, I think when we read English, we must read loudly.
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 Loudly, and we must repeat others.
repetition.
And did you get this method by yourself, or did somebody tell you to do this?
Just somebody tell me.
Your
Oh.
mentor?
Well, you got good teachers here.
Yeah.
And another issue is, well, as Chinese people learning the English language, sometimes some of us take shortcuts. Like, for instance, when we say good morning, some of us don't pay attention to the pronunciation of the English language. We use Chinese words to help us spell. Like we say good morning.
Yeah.
Good morning.
So we write down 4 characters in Chinese, and we use the Chinese words to help us spell it. That's for instance, people who speak Mandarin as a native language. their approach to study English. I wonder whether people with Tibetan language as their native language have some innate challenges or innate advantages in learning a foreign language such as English. Do you have any, for instance, is your native language Tibetan?
Yeah, of course.
And do you find it easier or harder to learn English because you speak Tibetan language?
For me, a Tibetan language learner, we learn English. I think it's first we have some travel.
You have
Travel.
travel.
Yeah.
Traps?
Yeah.
Traps?
Traps.
Traps?
So we must how to say this one, we must practice a lot and repeat them carefully, because I think if you just read or even you watch, but if you don't repeat them, I think it's not going to work.
And one more question. How much time do you spend on learning the grammar? And how much time do you spend on reading and on writing and listening? I wonder what's the proportion? How do you divide your time learning the language?
For me, in English, I would like to learn about English grammar. English grammar,
Do you
because
think
I
it's
think
because the grammar is more difficult?
yeah, and also grammar is very important.
It's like a base and foundation.
Right. And let's ask him a very easy question and a very casual question, and that is, what is the most frequently used applications on your smartphone? You obviously have a smartphone because we communicated via WeChat before we came here. So you must have a smartphone. And I always wondered, wherever I travel, about the kind of applications that people use on the smartphone, because that indicates what kind of lifestyles that they're leading and where they spend their time. So now I'm directing this question to you. What's the most frequently used application on your smartphone, besides WeChat, please?
Most of the reading.
Reading.
Yeah.
Reading apps.
Reading apps.
You mentioned TikTok.
Yeah. Do you use TikTok a lot?
Spend a lot
Yes.
of time.
I use TikTok, and I learned something new from TikTok.
What's your favorite content on TikTok?
I would like to watch some English movies.
He's really motivated.
Yeah. That leads to our next question. Which is your favorite movie?
For me, I like all kind of different English movies, especially Titanic.
Titanic.
Yeah, Titanic.
Wow.
DiCaprio.
Right. Okay, I guess that's enough time for our discussion in the first half of the show. We obviously from Dawa get to know that they have very good teachers here, and they certainly work very hard. We take a break here. In the second half of the show, we invite Dawa's teacher to share with us how the curriculum is implemented, and more details about the school coming up later on.
See ya.
See ya.
Bye.
You're listening to Roundtable. This is our special series, Railway Tripping Tibetan Style. We are currently in Lhasa at Dungkar Language School, where they teach Tibetan, Mandarin Chinese and English languages, as well as computer science and math. Just now we had language student Dawa sharing with us his passion for language learning and his goal after graduating from the school, and a lot of interesting discussions about language learning. And right now we've got his
Special guest
teacher,
yeah.
also Dawa.
Yeah.
How do you evaluate as a teacher
Your student's
his
performance.
And I think he did really nice.
Really nice.
Yeah.
And if I remember it correctly, you are both from Shikatsu.
Yes. We both are from Shikatsu, but different counties.
Ah.
He's from Namdin County. I am Tongar County. We're different. We're from different counties.
Are you satisfied with his performance, presenting English and speaking in English? I think he's quite confident with his language skills.
Yeah.
But what about his presentation of your hometown, Shikatsu? Do you think he's done justice?
I am from Tongar County. Tongar County is part of Shikatsu. And Shikatsu has 18 counties.
Wow.
Tongar County is one of the biggest counties in Shikatsu. And it has lots of natural resources, like the yaks, or different animals, living stock. Yeah. And I really love my hometown. And I lived there since I was born there. I mean, for 10 years. After 10 years, I left hometown and I came to Lhasa.
And you have been studying, teaching here?
And at first I came here to study English.
For how long?
14 years ago.
14 years ago.
14 years ago, I started to learn English, and then after I graduated from this school, and I started to teach here. And I asked my headmaster for permission to continue to teach here. So he allowed me to teach here, and I became a teacher.
This must be your first job.
Yeah.
And only job ever since you studied here at Dungkar.
Before I came here, I drove a little.
Drove.
Yeah, and I drove a car for a few months.
All right.
I just feels like the history repeats itself, because when we talked to your student, he said that in the future he wants to stay here and become a teacher, same as like following your path. So can you tell us, what are the factors that have kept you here? What have motivated you to develop from a student to a teacher in this language school? And compared to other vocational schools, what are the strengths of this school?
Thanks of my teachers. They advised me to be a more useful person, so that I chose to be a teacher. And I think a teacher or a doctor, I think it's a good job for a man. So I chose to be a teacher. And also my parents and my family, they encouraged me to be a teacher here.
So as
and I think it's really important to be a teacher.
That's
For me, it's my view.
As a teacher, you've definitely taught a lot of students over the past 14 years. So I'm just wondering what some of the similarities or difficulties these Tibetan students may face when they try to study English.
Yeah.
What's the biggest struggle for them?
Trouble.
Trouble,
yeah. Difficulties.
Difficulty.
Struggle. And as you know that I have taught here for 14 years. And for me, they are too shy to learn a foreign language. When I open my mouth and widely and I teach them, I let them to imitate my pronunciation, but they do not imitate me. I always let them to imitate my pronunciation, and I show my whole teeth to them, but they always ignore it. They're too shy to show their tongue or teeth to me. So it's a big problem for me to teach them. For me, I need to, I need to improve my pronunciation sometimes.
The way that how I improve my pronunciation is to learn from different programs on TV or on the radio.
What are the shows that you follow?
And I always let them to have some activities, different activities. And give them some small papers, a piece of papers to let them write some questions and then let other students to write some answers.
Yeah. That's some kind of interaction in classroom.
Yeah.
Way to motivate them. I think you hit the nail on the head here. I still remember my first year in college, studying English as a major. My teacher had a huge challenge in convincing me to reveal my teeth as I try to pronounce correctly.
Yes.
So I wonder whether this is a personality issue or is it a cultural issue. For me, it was certainly a personality issue. I was afraid, I was reluctant and quite shy to show my tongue and my teeth. Whereas, what about the case for Tibetan students learning English? Is it a cultural thing? Is there any kind of taboo forbidding them to reveal their tongue and teeth? Or is it just they're universally shy?
They're normally shy. They're normally shy. Especially they don't like to talk. And compared with in other provinces in China, there are fewer people in Tibet, so they always do not need to communicate with other people. And most of them are from rural areas, so they're too shy to talk. They don't like to talk to people at first.
All right.
But to be honest, I think that's a pain point shared by many English learners in the country. I remember for so many of my classmates, they feel afraid of speaking English at first hand. It's much easier for the Chinese students to do the writing text, but somehow, I don't know why, it seems like spoken English is harder than the writing part.
Yeah, that reminds me of my college years as well. We have basically the same problem when we try to learn English. And especially some of the teachers give us some tips. For example, you can try to speak to yourself in the mirror.
Yeah.
But that sounds a little, cuckoo to some people.
And you remember there's a very old-fashioned way to practice your English is to go to an English corner in the campus.
We have a very famous English corner in my university. It was very famous in Beijing, and a lot of people would gather in the square and speaking English at night. And I think the reason it was held at night is because so that we don't have to really see each other face to face when we speak English, and that really cuts down all the embarrassment we feel when we are trying to speak.
Now, there's a question for teacher Dawa. Have anything like an English corner been organized at this school or in Lhasa, the city as a whole? Do you know anything like this being organized?
There are some corners. We have about 3 English corners in Lhasa. And for me, I organized like an English corner here in school, but we had to quit for a minute. We have no time to organize this, but before we organize it in a group to discuss about something to improve our spoken English.
Right. So
every Friday.
Every Friday.
Same
Just
as
like me.
in our school.
What time? If we want to join, what's the best time to go to the English corner, and where are they?
You mean in Lhasa?
Yeah.
And I think currently I have not heard this, and I have not been there for a long time, to be honest.
I see. Because work is piling up. Right. And also, when we were studying English, our teacher, especially the extensive reading class teacher, they sometimes arrange viewing or screening of movies in English language. I remember the first time we were to watch a movie, it was Firelight starring Sophie Marceau, the French actress.
It's not French? Is it a French class?
Yes, there's partial nudity, and we were freshmen in college. Most of us were very uncomfortable with watching the same movie alongside our fellow classmates who we barely knew a lot at the beginning of the semester. So that was quite a cultural shock. I wonder whether here in this part of the region we have anything similar. Do we stage screenings of TV series or movies to help people get into the mood of language learning? Because we know language isn't just a means of communication, it also represents the culture behind. So sometimes you feel like introducing people to the culture behind the language may help them ease into the language a little bit. And I wonder whether here we're doing something similar.
You mean that students let students to watch some movies or?
Yeah.
I always let them to watch some cartoons. I guess.
Which one?
Ice Age.
Oh.
Or Snow White or some cartoons.
For us, it was yes. Please go
I
ahead.
think in a cartoon, English is more easily to understand.
Yes.
Yeah, that's
In
true.
English is more clear. But in other movies, they use their native dialect, or it's very difficult to understand.
Sometimes it's really
They
hard to
speak
get
too
a
fast.
Yeah, sometimes
Yeah.
it's really hard to get a punchline if you ask them to watch a foreign comedy. I think that's the hardest one.
Yeah.
And another pattern about language learning, I wonder you guys have noticed. This doesn't exist in college, but in postgraduate studies, I have fellow classmates who are much older than me. I was about 22, and I have a fellow classmate who was 30. And I noticed on people who were at that age significantly older than younger students, they are not necessarily very shy. They know what they want in terms of their studies, and they go ahead and pursue that goal without worrying about anything else. Whether I'm showing my teeth or my tongue, they don't worry about these things. And here, at this private vocational school, we have students with a wide range of ages. And you said earlier that they tend to be very shy.
Yeah.
But apart from them being shy, do older students in particular show that extra motivation to really pursue their goal, much like your student who have demonstrated earlier?
After a year or after a month, they overcome their fear or shame.
And that's it?
Yeah.
How about the enthusiasm? Are they
Yeah.
really passionate about learning a new language?
Yeah.
How would you evaluate the general English proficiency of your students in the school?
And English, national English level full, they can pass if they continue to study for 2 years or 3 years. But for a year, they cannot pass a national English test or
CGTN band 4.
Yeah.
Right.
Like college level English.
College level. You're obligated to have that certificate in order to graduate from college.
Oh.
So if the students here, they can reach that level, that says a lot about the quality of the education here and also the determination on the part of the students.
Yeah.
And again, one more question for you. What is your routine on a typical day? Because we know your student, he wakes up, he goes to class, and day and night, and then over weekends maybe he goes to the library and reads stuff. What about you as a teacher? What is your routine beginning from early in the morning and until the night?
For me, I have no exact timetable for my life, but I try my best to arrange my time. I get up early in the morning, about 6 or 5:30. Then I try to do some reading. If I cannot read a book, then I listen. I think listening is more useful. Yes, I can cherish or I can save my time. By the way, I can do other things and listen to audio or something at the same time.
Here's a podcast that we'd like to introduce to you. It's called Roundtable China.
I have listened.
And you are on the show now.
Yeah.
You are on the show right now.
Yeah.
And you can listen back to your show later on.
This is our product placement time. Yeah.
Advertising.
Yeah.
Looking forward to it.
And what are the lessons that you teach?
I teach different levels, and there is an advanced teacher, but he had to go to Beijing Foreign University.
You have to go to a different province.
Yes, yes. So I teach different level, and I have 2 classes. One is grade 8,
Grade A.
and one is grade 9. And also like an evening class, which is I'm teaching new concept too.
Ooh, new concept English.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh.
That's what I learned when I was studying English when I was a high school student.
That's what I did to make up for my shortfall from my fellow classmates when I was in college. It's
That was
quite
good
useful.
book. Yeah, it
quite
was a good
useful.
book.
What? Leopard at large.
I learned
Chapter one.
the Cambridge English, when I was in primary school.
Oh,
Yeah.
I think, yeah.
Yeah.
My daughter was learning the same English as well.
So the textbooks, you just mentioned new concept English. Anything else? Do you use your own textbooks? Do you have to rely on something that's published?
I have published spoken English, like a little book. I teach them sometimes, let them improve their spoken.
Spoken English. And
Actually, I have a question. I think it could be a little bit offensive or impolite, but I really want to ask this question, which is, what's the tuition fee here? Can most of the local students afford a tuition fee to study here?
yeah.
And most of students who are, no matter where they are from, rich family or poor family, they can pay, not very expensive. But some, if they cannot pay, like a student who is from a very poor family, and we reduce, or some disabled or some special people, they don't need to pay any.
Is there a test to decide, for instance, the best student who get to receive a scholarship? Is there a test? Because you know, in colleges and all around the world, students are graded according to their performance, and if they do well, they're awarded a scholarship. Is it the same kind of system, the same kind of method
Rewarding
that we
system.
use here?
There's no such a scholarship, but I tested them in English a lot of time, and I give them some prizes.
wonderful.
Encourage them, especially I like to give them some books, and I like to search a book like a little bookworm.
Yeah, I read that.
Yeah, me
Little
too,
green
yeah.
book.
Yeah.
A little green book.
Yeah.
Simplified English novels.
Classics, some of the classics. I'm wondering, after graduating from the college, from this school, what are your students, most of those students' jobs after graduating?
After graduating, and few of them they can pass college test and English test, so they can take part in college, enter college. But some they try to be a tour guide. Lots of tour guides were trained here.
Oh.
So if one of our foreign audience come to Lhasa and their tour guide is probably graduating from this school.
Chances are they are your students. Do you stay in contact with students who are graduated from the school? Stay in contact.
Contact.
Yes. Do you communicate with them, like talk about how they have been recently and what they're doing, what they're up to in their life?
I do. I do, especially a special girl. She's literally unusual. I mean, she's very special.
Extraordinary.
She always comes back here to talk with me. She calls me father.
Oh.
And
What does she do now? What does she do now?
She's running business here.
That's amazing, entrepreneur.
Yeah,
That's brilliant.
Very independent woman.
I really appreciate your efforts in boosting the literacy rate in the region. And I'm kind of curious about what's the initial goal of your principal to establish this school? Because we know this is a non-publicly founded school. It's a vocational school without the government subsidy. So the motivation of your principal to establish a school?
And his goal to establish a school is that, and because of his teacher, and his teacher was called Tongar Language. He was a great master and an expert of Tibetology. And with the instruction of his master, and he decided to start this school. And also this school was named Tongar. Yeah.
What is Tongar?
Yeah. And also he said that he himself was from a farming area or a rural area, so he wants those students who are from a rural area, they will get a better education. So if he found a school.
Which is why the tuition is relatively affordable, and some exemptions can be made for students who are struggling financially.
I think we share the same question.
Yeah, go ahead.
Why is the school called Tongar? And what does Tongar mean in Tibet?
And one is that it came with this master's name. It's copied from master's name, but it has a special meaning, and it's one of the 8 auspicious signs. There is a very important or auspicious signs. We call it 8 auspicious signs.
So Tongar
is one of this.
Is one of those. Sea, white conch shell.
Yeah, it means white conch shell.
White conch shell.
shell.
Something sometimes at rituals people use it as an instrument.
Yeah, once a man blows it, it means that a student or a man can wake up from ignorance or something that
So it's
who doesn't know
awakening
something.
and inspiration.
It's the symbol for enlightenment.
Oh yeah,
Enlightenment
from
That's a perfect word.
yes,
Right.
To describe it. Yeah.
So the students here, are they all diligent like the student before, or some of them need extra motivation?
Most are great. They volunteer to come here. Nobody forced them to come here. So they volunteer to study, but some are still naughty. Sometimes we have to scold them, or we have to advise them if they do some mistakes or something they shouldn't do.
Okay.
If they break the school rules or something.
So
But most of them are very enthusiastic to study, or they're very willing to study.
And I think you've also mentioned a lot of the students come from rural areas in Tibet. I'm wondering if they have trouble trying to fit into the life of Lhasa, because apparently
The urban
would be very
lifestyle.
different from what they had at home.
Some of them have some difficulties with the place where they need to live. They need to find a house to rent, right? But most of them are okay. Yeah.
All right. Are you happy where they are? What's your hope for the students when they graduate? We know some of them graduate and go on to become tour guides. Is this an ideal job for them in this region, or do you have any higher hopes for them?
Yeah, I hope, and I always advise them to be a better person, be honest. Yeah, be honest, and to be a useful person in the society of China, Tibet.
Yeah. What's your plan? Do you have what do you see yourself maybe after 10 years? Will you still be teaching English here, or you probably be moving somewhere else,
or move to a bigger institution?
I plan to teach here.
Oh.
I plan to teach here, but I'm trying very hard to study, improve myself, and I want to be a better teacher. And still not enough. I need to learn a lot, I guess.
Wow.
Well, but your English is perfect.
You're very humble.
Yeah.
And what other challenges you face during the teaching process? What kind of help or support you want to have from the school, or from the principal, or even from the government?
Okay, just sometimes time. because of those students' time, they do not have much time to study, and I teach them for a year or 2 years. Then they have no time to study longer here. So, and I hope that they have more time to study here after they know more thing here.
Why is it that they don't have time here? Is this a full-time school, or is it people just coming when they have a little bit of a free time and they go back to where they are when they can't afford the leisure?
We offer both full-time study or the part-time. So some of them, they have no time to study continuously, so they have to quit and they have to stop to study. It's a problem for me.
I saw an introduction that in this language school you also offer night classes for people who are actually working nowadays, so they can take their free time, which are basically the night time, and to study here and to enrich their personal skills.
That's it. They want to improve themselves, and they can get a better position in their company or in their hotel, or most of them they are working in their hotel or company. They want to make or change their position better.
This is a private vocational school that, according to news reports, is very famous throughout the city of Lhasa. And so I think people who graduate here would have better odds and better chances at whatever they pursue. I wonder if this is the same thing for all language learning schools or for private vocational schools in the district. Because in the rest of the country, especially outside of Tibet, there's this almost blind respect for college diplomas, high school diplomas. Like you have to go through this is the only path for you to succeed. You go through high school, you go to a good college, maybe postgraduate studies, and then you find yourself very competitive in the job market. And as a result, there's a little bit of disdain for vocational schools. For people look at them and feel as if people who attend these schools are those who have failed to survive the competition along the way. But here, obviously, the situation is different, in the sense that education traditionally hasn't been very top-notch, and there are instances of people dropping out, and illiteracy rate perhaps slightly higher than the rest of the region. So maybe vocational schools here, they deserve a lot more respect in this particular region than perhaps outside of here.
Sorry to interrupt, but it reminds me of a lot of things we saw along the way, because we've been to rural areas in the region, and we've seen some of the farmers who learned farming techniques from either masters or, I guess, vocational schools locally. And I think that's what China needs right now, and also I think what Tibet needs right now is that as we want to transform our economic development, we do need some really high-skilled workers to help us to do things. For example, with the development of agriculture, we don't really need a college degree to be able to growing vegetables or herding farm. So I think I hope people in China can change in the sense of respecting vocational education and value its role in the society. And that's what I think the government is trying to do at the moment.
Right. We're almost running out of time here. But before we go, we have a teacher here. He teaches English, but he speaks Tibetan. How about we make use of his skill and teach us some Tibetan language? What is the one thing you would like to learn in Tibetan language?
Tibetan language. There are lots of Han Chinese or other minorities who are learning Tibetan here. They are learning very nicely. They are enjoying to learn. So if you want to learn, or if you want to join us, you can join us anytime.
I know you have a curriculum and that sort of thing, but if there isn't a curriculum, if the students want to learn whatever they want, what is the first thing they would like to know in terms of Tibetan language?
Or can you teach us the most practical sentence that we can use everywhere in the daily life?
And most of foreigners, some of the people who are from other provinces or countries, they like to say it
Just
That's thank you.
It's more like a good day to you.
Oh, good day.
Good day.
That means have a good time, or
Have a nice
it has
day.
lots of meaning. It depends on what you are doing and where you are.
How to say thank you?
Tochana.
I have a question about how to say tripping, railway tripping,
Tibetan style.
坐火车
看
看西藏。
美国的去拍了呀，到了。
We need to make a note here. Like, so please treat us like 5 years old and repeat each of the pronunciation. We'll follow. Mekor.
Mekor means that train.
Mekor. Oh.
Mekor.
Mekor.
Dawa.
Dawa.
Means that take or
So train first and then take away.
Mekor Dawa.
Per means Tibet.
In Tibet.
Tibet.
And style.
Dawa. C.
Dawa.
Dawa. Isn't your name?
Okay.
C.
C.
That means C.
Oh,
So,
okay.
Okay.
Mekor Dawa.
Dawa.
Mekor deche per la dawa.
Mekor
Deche. What does the deche
It's a preposition here.
Oh,
Deche.
Dawa. Okay. Let's pull it together. Let's try
together.
1, 2, 3.
Mekor
Dawa
Deche. Mekor Deche. Yeah.
Per la dawa.
Pola Dawa. Mekor Deche Pola Dawa. And that's it for this episode of Roundtable, Railway Tripping Tibetan Style. Thank you for watching and listening. We'll see you next time.